Welcome to the Detailer's Dock, anchoring you in the world of marine detailing. Whether you're a seasoned detailer or just starting out, this is where every detail matters, with your host, Captain Ken Mercer from Marine Detail Supply Company.
Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Detailer's Dock. Today I have owner and operator of Mad Soaps, Christian Buchleitner. Did I say that right?
You said it right. Thanks for having
I
me.
said it right. Yeah, no. And so Christian, I know a lot about you. I think you and we've had a pretty close relationship for the last 2.5 years or so. But, for those individuals that are out there, I would really like them to get to know you as much as I do, right? Because for me, I think you have done very well in scaling your business by adding employees, different services, and things like that. And I think you have a lot of information for these detailers that are out here that are listening that, you know, could really use it. I mean, we all want to grow our business, right? And the more we grow, the more money we will make. And you're a young guy, right? I mean, how old are you?
26.
26. So, and how long have you been doing this? So, share that, and then kind of talk about yourself a little bit and how you got started.
Yeah, so my name is Christian Buchleitner. I entered into the detailing industry when I was 19, so we're going on 8 years now. And when I first started, I had nothing. I had no education. Man, if I knew about Stark earlier, it would have been a game changer. We would have expedited everything. I didn't know what I was doing. So I was going to your local stores. I was knocking on doors. I started out with a dirty rag towel from my mom's sink when I lived in their house. And that's when I was 19 years old. I dropped out of college. I didn't even have a vacuum. I just started knocking on the neighbor's door.
Dirty rag towel.
A dirty rag to clean cars.
Okay, so you started in automotive first.
I started out in automotive. I started knocking on doors for like a year straight. I was doing everything wrong. I made so many mistakes, man. If I knew about Stark and the systems that we had today and the keys to selling and overcoming objections the way that we do now and systemizing your business and ads and all that stuff, man, I just would have scaled so much faster. So, I started out about 8 years ago and never went to college. And now we have 25 employees. We're doing steady over 100 grand every month. We're going to do $1 million this year, and we came a long way. So I want to help you guys out.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that's a success story there. So let's really start from the beginning. So like you said, you started off in automotive, didn't do any college. What made you choose the marine side versus automotive? Because you said you did auto first. So what was the eye-opening experience or that aha moment, or what led you to make the decision to move in to the marine side?
I was talking to a lot of clients, and when you're in the automotive space, I agree with you. There is a lot of money to be made in the automotive world, but a lot of clients were saying, hey, you want to do my boat? And I was looking around at prices to detail boats, and it was exponentially more. And then I haven't been with Stark for too long, but what Stark allowed me to do right away was take one package and turn it into like 15 different streams of income with 15 different packages because their product line is just so diverse.
Right.
So it's just been there's so many different flows within the organization that we collect money from. It's not just, hey, here's our package, here's our wash and wax, you need a compound of wax. It's, hey, what are your main concerns? Where can we go from here? And how many different things can we sell you on to solve your problems? And Stark has made it so easy for that. It's just streamlined. If you log on to if you get certified with them and take their course, you can find endless ways to make money in this industry.
Yeah. So you started off noticing that there was more potential money on the marine side.
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
100%.
So what was the first boat that you detailed? Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was in Serena Park. It was a little 22-foot rinker or something. Maybe it was a Sea Ray, but it was like maybe $300. Maybe $300.
So what was the job? What did you have to do on it? What
couldn't
they
even
asked for?
tell you, man. We had the wrong products. I mean, we weren't doing anything. I was probably using like Carnauba wax by, can I say brand names?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
We were using a very well known brand name that you pick up on like Amazon or like Walmart or something like that, but it wasn't the right product. It wasn't anything that's going to give you long lasting results. It was
yeah.
something that was super cheap, and if you're just let's just keep it at that. It wasn't something that Stark offered. It didn't come with any sort of warranty. It wasn't professional. You couldn't really sell it. It was just kind of there.
Gotcha. So you did basically like a wash and wax on that? Is that what it was? If you had to
You
guess,
could call
probably
it
something.
that. You could call it a wash and wax. I wouldn't even call that a wash and wax. I would just be
No,
like, yeah,
I
that you got maybe a wash.
yeah, I know because I mean we didn't really touch base that you're based out of Maryland, right? Which I think is probably the mecca of cleaner wax.
Absolutely. I
You
mean,
know,
we get calls. We get 20 calls a day straight to our office, and our secretary Julia answers the phone, and she's like, "Another wash and wax, Chris. Another wash and wax." So
no.
we got to break it down to them. It's like, hey, you got oxidation. You can't just put wax on the like. These people just don't know,
So
but that's
no,
why we educate.
you know what? I love that. Let's really go there because I agree with you. We've had a lot of individuals that we've trained personally that came from the Northeast or the Midwest or even the West Coast of the United States where predominantly cleaner wax has been the way that you go and attack oxidation on a boat or that's your annual maintenance, right? So for
Right.
you, I know that you also were you attended one of the Stark certification courses back in the past with Michael Marino in Tampa, correct?
Correct.
Right. So then from there, um, knowing that knowledge that you had then and then prior, like how do you convert your customer base, which is predominantly very familiar, or that's the way they've been used to managing their boats. Like, how do you overcome that? I mean, or what did you do to overcome that? Because that's a challenge amongst detailers up in your area. I'm sure you've had these conversations before.
It's not a problem that you can just solve, but it is a problem that you can chip away at. And that's what we've marketed ourselves as. If you go on to Mad Soaps anywhere online, you'll see, hey guys, this is Chris with Mad Soaps. Today I'm going to break down exactly what we're doing.
All right.
Are we talking about wash and waxing? Never once. I guarantee you can't find a single video that says we did a wash and wax. That's because we're really trying to make a wave here. Hey, we're actually not doing a wash and wax. This customer came in with heavy oxidation. Maybe he was looking for a wash and wax,
Yeah.
but then we showed him exactly what he could have with a 3 or a 4-step restoration. And it all comes down to confidence, backing up your work. If you have a good team that you know is going to be using the best products, and you know
Yeah.
you pay them well and they do a good job, you know that you're going to be able to confidently sell that product and that service to that customer. It's like, hey, you could do a wash and wax 4 times a year, or you could get this 3 or 4-step restoration that requires very minimal maintenance compared to buffing your boat 3 or 4 times a year.
Hmm.
And tell them how they're going to save money and save time. That's all they want to hear. And that's what we've been fighting against. But it's going to be a long battle. But I think we're coming out on top at this point because we still get calls for wash and wax, but they instantly know they're going to get something else if they follow us on social media or email campaigns, all that stuff.
Yeah, truth be told, I think you would agree, and those listening to, like, your standard, cleaner waxes, it's just really kind of putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. You shouldn't have to be running a wheel on your vessel every single year. If that customer or you yourself are having to pull out, a heavy cut compound on a white wool pad every single year, generally, maybe you are not correcting it or removing all that oxidation completely, or maybe you need to rethink the type of sealants that you're using to protect that gel coat after you correct it. So those are some eye opening things. Now, I've said it before multiple times in training classes, social media, things like that. Like the days of cleaner wax, so I think people really overlook is every time you put that wheel on that surface, you're removing gel coat every single
Absolutely.
time. And you only have so much. We've talked about that many times. I've expressed that many times. And I think us as detailers that are out there, the better that we can educate our customers, you know, the better off not only they're going to be, the better off our work is going to be too. Because now that we're no longer performing the cleaner wax, and they go, hey, who did your boat last year? Well, Christian did it. Well, it looks like, doesn't look that good. Or, hey, Christian did, a correction of ceramic coating, and man, that boat looks amazing. Who did it? Well, Christian did it. Like, I think that's what all of us, strive to do, is be, that guy or gal that's out there that's recommended, because that's going to bring, business back, like repeat customers, which I'm sure you have many
Yeah.
of, right?
And to add on to that, these customers that call you looking for wash and wax have gotten wash and wax in the past. That's why they call it that, is because someone
Yeah.
else called that. And then this is really a sales game to all the detailers listening. It's like, you got to think from a common knowledge perspective. If they got a wash and wax and they're happy with the job, why are they calling another company to do it?
Good
So
point.
that's something that you can ask the client. Hey, like, what are your main concerns? Going back to sales 101. Well, I got a cleaner wax and it only lasted a month and a half and it was gone. Okay. Right. So maybe we should not approach the cleaner wax route again. Right. And that's kind of where we found this is, at the end of the day, a sales game. It really is. It's how many jobs, how many customers can you help? How much jobs can you get on the schedule? And Stark allows you to do that with a variety of products.
Yeah. So when you have those customers that with their cleaner wax, and you were talking about showing them, right? So I think I recently saw a video that you had one of your teams kind of doing like a side by side comparison with like a test spot. And when you do those test spots, is that something that generally the customer's present, they see it? Like, what is generally your process in that? Because, for me, I think the detailers that are out there that are estimating jobs without performing a test spot are really doing themselves an injustice, because, they're going to end up, doing more work than they've originally quoted to get the result. You know what I mean? Or not really setting the expectation, of what the customer is going to receive after they're done. So, what is that, or how do you do it? Should I say?
I'm going to give you a loophole to that. And all the detailers listening can take notes to this, because this is something that's allowed us to get out of that. So we have preset packages, all consisting of different Stark products.
Right.
If somebody comes in with a trashed boat, they're going to need something like a number 7 package. If somebody comes in with a brand new boat looking for minimum with no oxidation, they're going to need a number 1 package. So, and we don't do anything for free at Mad Soaps. And I don't think detailers should be running around doing free estimates either, because it's a huge waste of your time if you're the business owner. So what you can do is have systems on your website and on your price quotes and your terms and agreements that say, these are estimates, not to screw over the customer, but to say, hey, if we get out there and package number 1 doesn't work for your super oxidized boats, we're going to call you right away and give you a test spot of package 3 and 4. If this is something that you're okay with, when you look at the test spot, we'll send you a video or a photo, then we can upsell or provide more value to that customer. And you're not stuck on a, 1854 rinker that's super heavy oxidation doing just hyperhold. So that's a good system that GTLers can put in their business.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of interested on where you're going with like packages. So, I know it's a pretty common thing, at least in the automotive world, to have packages. Not very common in the marine world, just because you have different size vessels, different substrates, and so on and so forth. So I'm really intrigued on your packages, and obviously you have a few, because you just said, I think, 1 to 7. Like, how many
7 different
packages do you?
packages.
Okay, so you have
Minimum.
7. Okay, can you kind of, like, if you're okay with it, comfortable with it, like, what is package 1? What's package 7? I mean, what's the differences generally?
Yes. So this is how we structured our packages, and we never lose money on any of them, even if we go out to a boat thinking that there's no oxidation and it's a chalkboard. So our package number 1 is just the coating, just a polymer coating like Hyperhold. And then our package number 2 is the cleaner polymer. Package number 3 is heavy cut with the cleaner polymer. Package number 4 is heavy cut, medium cut, and then the polymer. Package number 5 is heavy cut, medium cut, light cut polymer. 6 is all of that plus ceramic coating on the body. And then package number 7 is all of that plus ceramic coating on all surfaces on the vessel. Aluminum, glass, metals,
You
stainless,
name it.
all that stuff. And all of those packages we've never lost money on.
Okay. So, and I think like listening to your certain packages, I think number 4 is probably the most common one, which would be your level R, your elevator, or basically your heavy cut, mid step, and sealant.
Well, I'll be honest with you, our most package here, and the one that is really a profit maker for us, is package number 2. Because we
Okay.
can do that in the
Well, that's the
fastest amount
cleaner
of time.
wax. We
That's
just
the
talked
cleaner,
about that.
That's the cleaner polymer. But people start out with that and they usually get upsold, but we do make money on that. The way that we've gotten away from that is making package 2 really more expensive than if you were to upgrade to a different package. So if there's a step, that single step is charged a lot more than the single individual steps in like the 4 or 5, 6 package.
Okay. So number 2 is your number 1 go to, essentially. Well, at least that's your entry. Okay. Okay.
Because customers will look at our package 1 through 7, right? And
Right.
they'll say, I'm thinking of my budget. I'm thinking of what the wife wants me to spend. And I
Right.
think we're going to go with package number 2. Package number 2 is like the gateway drug here in Maryland. And then
Okay.
they're almost always upsold once they see how our professional our team is, and uniform, showing up on time, how educated we are, and that kind of stuff. So the gateway drug for us is, for our customers, package number 2. And a lot of customers will continue to do that over and over and over again, which kind of goes into less of a detailing standpoint. But looking at a business perspective, if customers are paying you for a package number 2 twice a year, every year for 10 years,
Yeah.
they're making more money on the package number 2 versus them doing like a ceramic that lasts them a long time. But we try to sell this to customers, and some of them just don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. So how, what do you do to successfully sell package number 7? Because I'm assuming that's the almighty, that's the grand slam, that's the home run, right? So like what generally is your approach to really get a customer to totally buy in on a full correction with the coating?
That goes back to being a sales game, is finding the pain points within the customer. It's like, hey, you just bought this boat, right? You want to be doing cleaner polymer 3 times a year on this beautiful brand new formula? Or do you
Right.
want to be, you don't want to do it once and have detailers out of your hair and just do maintenance,
Right.
right? That's a sales question, and there's hundreds of objections that detailers get that are relatively, all the detailers deal with the same objections. Price, the wife wants to think about it. I don't have time for it. I don't know enough about it. Basic stuff that you can train and overcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say is your main sales pitch is selling the ceramic coating, like the benefits? Like what are you telling the customer of the benefits of a coating over a polymer sealant, besides it just lasts longer?
Do you want to be buffing your boat all the time? You want to be buffing this fresh paint all the time? Or do you just want to be able to maintenance? When you're done using the boat, you want to be able to spray it off and, rinse it off, wash it with a good soap, and use a spray-on coating? Or do you want to have to call a detailer, buff it 3 times a year?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, that kind of falls back to like what I was saying at the beginning too, is you only have so much gel coat, you only have so much paint, right?
Right.
And I think that's really where the true advantage is of a ceramic coating is, it's protecting that substrate, as well as chemical resistance. I think that's extremely overlooked is the chemical resistance, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit. Is as you know, a lot of us marine detailers out there were fighting panic stains from the water. You're fighting black streaks, things like that. Well, those particular stains and issues require either a high alkaline product or an acidic product to remove it, right? Where if you're using a polymer or a carnauba-based sealant, any of those cleaners are going to remove it instantly. So, which means when you go to effectively remove that stain, you've also effectively removed your protection. Where a ceramic coating, a true good marine grade ceramic coating, can effectively resist that 1 to 2 pH on an acidic to remove that yellow tannic stain, or that that 12 to 14 high alkalinity pH to remove that black streak, and still resist it, so you don't have to go back with a cleaner wax. For me, the true place where I really feel a cleaner wax has a lot of value to a customer is if they are a polymer or a carnauba based protection customer. That's what they choose is, if you're removing black streaks, the quick thing is, sometimes you can literally clean it with a high pH, go and buzz it with a cleaner wax where you kind of corrected that surface and left some sealant and move on. Or your sport fish boats or the big vessels that have that, that diesel soot around the exhaust area. Because even if you put ceramic coating around that diesel exhaust soot area, you're going to get like a month or two out of it. Like those chemicals are just going to destroy it. The heat and the chemicals, from the diesel exhaust is just going to ruin it. So a lot of times just using something like a cleaner wax to really clean that surface up and leave a little bit of protection is really, where I think the big value is with a cleaner wax.
I agree. And I also think, going back to the business standpoint of things, if you're a one-man show or you're a three-man show, which a lot, I'd say like 80% of the detailing companies that on earth are, you don't want to be taking on every job.
No.
Point
you got to
blank,
be selective.
You got to be selective. But the good thing is that you can scale your business if that's something that you want to do. And then you can take on jobs that you don't have to deal with as long as you're making money on them. So my point here is that we have all of those packages because we don't want to lose business.
Right.
If somebody is just not willing to pay for a number 7, fine, get a number 1. At least we have you doing a number 1 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't ever want to lose business, but we have that capability because we have 25 full-time detailers.
Right.
Going back to, if you don't have 25 full-time detailers and you're a 1, 2, 3, 4-man show, you got to be selective with jobs. And you better be the best salesperson for ceramic coating or equivalent to package number 4, 5, and 6 in the area. Because guys like me with, I don't know how many there are with bigger detailing companies, will be able to take on jobs for a lot lower of a cost, still make money, and still have a happy client, a returning client. So that's a benefit of being able to scale the company, is you can take on these jobs that at least you still make money on, and still grow the business and still make money on them, versus being having to be super, super picky with these jobs because you're doing them yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think asking your customers budgeted expectations is important to, closing a sale, right? Not everybody, like you said, has the financial means to ceramic coat everything and pay for, let's say, $7,000 ceramic coating correction job where, their budget aligns with more of a $2,000 correction. And, don't be afraid of asking a customer of what their budget is and what you could offer with that budget. But, for me too, is like, I'm not a big fan of discounting your services either, because when you discount your services, you devalue that service. So, instead of, giving somebody a full blown correction that's going to, be $4,000, but they want to save $1,000, they only want to pay $3,000, give them $3,000 worth of work. Don't give them a $4,000 worth of work for $3,000. You don't want to devalue what you guys and gals are out there doing. Let's be honest. Like, I know in Maryland right now, it's probably gorgeous. Here in Florida, it's already hot, man. Like we just stepped into the month of June and it's going to get insanity. There's, most marine detailers out there don't have the luxury of having a conditioned space to work in the air conditioning. It's going to get hot, guys and gals. Like, make sure you stay hydrated and stuff like that. But like, again, don't devalue what you guys do. Like, if they only have a budget for a certain amount, see if you can create something. If you don't have a package like Christian does, like, so he's got packages. Not everybody out there has packages. Don't be afraid to ask that question. Well, what is your budget? You know what I mean? And then see if you're able to work with it. If you can't, and those expectations aren't reality, that's not your customer. Just, sometimes you have to walk away from stuff. And that boils back to like what you were saying there at the beginning, is you can't say yes to everything. Because you could be out there killing yourself for an underpaying job. And, if you would have maybe chose to not do that job, and you should be doing another one that somebody called you and you get to have on that schedule and doing where you're making the money you want to make for the time that you're putting in. So it's a game.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But for those guys and gals out there, like, don't be afraid to ask that question. Which, if they say no, what's your budget? But it's harder. A lot of times it's harder to work up than it is to work down.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I can't. It's been years since we've given any sort of discount. The best thing to do when a customer wants a discount is to add more value to the job.
Yeah.
Well, we can't. Here's our margins. We can't give you a discount. But what we can do is add more value. Why don't we just do a little add-on like this for you? And that almost all the time works. Price is only an issue in the absence of value. So don't negotiate.
That's a fact. You just hit it right on the nose. It's like where people struggle with price is they have not spent enough time explaining the value, man. I'm telling you, it boils down to communication a lot of times. That customer called you majority of the time. It's our responsibility to show the value, explain the features and benefits of working with you or your team. There's thank them for choosing you too. I think a lot of times we just overlook just saying something so small as, hey, thank you for choosing me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that a lot, and unfortunately, and I'm not just going to say detailers, the contracting spaces, people are like, you chose me, you should be thanking me, which is not the case at all.
Yeah.
Like these customers, you should be very thankful
Yeah.
that these customers chose to use you. You provided some sort of value that took some sort of sweat equity, whether it was time, money, other people's money, other people's time, whatever it was. You paid the price to get that customer to walk in your door. You should be thanking them. That there is no, oh, they're lucky to have me. They could go right next door and find something. Maybe you're convinced that you're the best and they can't find something like that. But if they don't like you, they're going to find somebody else for less and still be happy with it. So it's important to be likable. And that goes along with the sales process too, is like always thank your customers and be very grateful for the business that you get, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of like shift gears to the nitty gritty with what I really feel that you're an expert at least in the field is, I mean, you said you started off with a dirty rag, which I think is hilarious.
Yep. Dirty rag.
That,
Not even
that,
cooking.
yeah, with the dirty rag you're detailing business, that's hilarious. So for how long were you a solo show?
A year.
Okay. And what was
Correct.
the eye-opening event to you that's like, man, Jesus, like I can't do this on my own. What led you to bring or to add to your team?
I knew what my goal was, and I knew what was possible and what was not possible without scaling. There are some things you're going to be able to do when you're a solopreneur guy, and then you're not going to be able to hit certain targets if you don't have X amount of employees doing X amount of jobs every single day. You're only one guy. You can't wear 50.
No, trust me, I know all about that when it comes to that. But like, so you were solo, and then all of a sudden, like you've had to have a steady flow, or did you not, of business where you're like, okay, now it's time to hire in somebody else. And then when you did, is that somebody that you brought on kind of like a salary base, or is that somebody that you brought on hourly based, or is it just per job? What was the decision that you made then, and is that decision now the same now with the team that you have?
Well, obviously, we pay our guys a lot more. Some guys, I'd say like 18 guys of the 25 are 1099. They're contractors.
Okay.
Our office staff, who are the marketing and our office lady, they're W-2. Okay. Nobody's getting paid salary. The only person getting paid salary is me and my brother. That's it. Okay. All of the same exact structure. Nobody's getting paid per job. They're all getting paid per hour. Now, are some guys making double what some guys are because they've been here for 5 years and they can spit the products out at any customer and close the deal? Absolutely. Right. Yeah. So it's the same structure. And to answer your first question, yes. So the reason that I wanted to hire people is because I knew I couldn't make millions of dollars from a company if it wasn't an actual company with people.
Agreed.
So I knew you can't,
unless you invent something, bro.
Go ahead. I mean, that's just not how I saw this business scaling. We're a service-based company, right? So
Yeah.
unless we develop a product or something, which could be in the future, but
Never know.
yeah. So everyone gets paid hourly. We had a steady workflow coming in, and then rebooking customers. I mean, we had not only new business every year, we had compounding repeat business. So if we took all of our customers from one year, piled them into the next year, and then took on all the new business, we just doubled our revenue.
Yeah.
So we went from like one guy, me, and then to two guys, and then to four guys, and then something happened. We went to 8 guys, and then we went to 16, and somehow we ended up at 25. Who knows how many we'll have next year?
And that's insanity. So like, how do you keep everybody busy with 25 team members? I mean, that's got to be a solid book of business that you've got consistently running,
Yep.
right?
Big
So
projects,
yeah,
upselling.
I know. So speaking of upselling too, so like not to go down in the weeds, but I think it's important as well. So, for those listening out here, and again, I don't know this answer, but um, I'm confident that I might be right. Do you like essentially? So I'm assuming you're not on every single job, or at least you don't have the discussion with every single customer, right? So you kind of give a little free range for the team
I
that's
have
there,
a
and like,
conversation with
sure,
90% of the customers.
okay, but like
I am
say,
not on most of the jobs.
okay, so say you're off site, and your team upsells or finds something. I mean, is there, do they get a benefit of finding that upsell or closing on that upsell?
Oh yeah, they get paid
Okay.
commission.
I
They love it. They
like
eat it up.
okay, so let's talk about that. I
That's
think
business structure.
I agree. So if you wouldn't mind, without giving any proprietary information, if you don't want, but like, you know, I think that is a key to a lot of people that are hiring teammates, right? Is to give them something to shoot for, right? And that's probably why you're able to retain your teammates a little bit as well. Because I think you would agree, like, this industry sometimes can be a revolving door when you're hiring people, at least. So are you okay with sharing that structure, at least on the
Absolutely.
commission? Yeah, if you
Absolutely.
wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I won't go into the exact commissions, but I'll tell you how it works. So if we're at a boat show, right, which we go to every single boat show. I actually saw you at the Fort Lauderdale boat show recently. If we
Yes.
bring a team member down there and they get a commission, or if they get a lead from somebody in Fort Lauderdale that has a job for us to do in Annapolis, they get a great commission on that. I
Mhm.
would say our commission is so good that you could go full-time sales at Mad Soaps and
Wow.
make just as much as an experienced detailer. So every boat show in Annapolis online, our guys have their own personal accounts, like detailer's name, Mad Soaps. So they're selling online as well as in person on job sites, and we have
Mhm.
client lists that they can go through. We have a list of like 5,000 boaters in our area.
Wow.
So there's a ton of warm leads for these guys to go through. A boat shows is a huge one. We run a ton of Facebook leads, ads that generate leads for people to call on. So, and upselling is the easiest one because you're already working on the job. And if a manager or a detailer is on site, like, hey, Chris, like this guy needs a heavy cut because we're out here doing a cleaner polymer and it's not removing all the oxidation. I'm like, perfect, go get it. Tell them I just texted you the price, emailed you the price, and go sell it and make some commission on it. So
Yeah.
they're
So you
very
let
motivated to do that.
Well, as they should be, right? I mean, I think that's a page that at least a lot of the ones that are listening can take from you and from others is they're like, if your team's out there grinding and growing your business, you should help them grow at the same time. So like, yeah, no, I think having or at least giving them a commission based off the upsells is critical for both parties, you as a business as well as the individual, right? To be rewarded for going above the expectation. So
Yeah.
that's
We also make it very hard for people to leave this company. So they get paid for all the holidays. They do get a lot of PTO. Like,
yeah,
this is more than just you go out there and clean a car or a boat. We've
right.
structured Mad Soaps to be a legitimate business that will continue to grow and continue to retain employees. So the way that we have it set up, we've had guys for 5+ years.
Wow, that and just a short term, right? Because Mad Soaps has been technically structured. Well, so was it Mad Soaps initially when you started with the Dirty Rag?
2018.
Dirty Rag Mad Soaps. So where does the name Mad Soaps come from? Is
It was
there any
actually mobile auto detailing.
interesting?
It was.
And it was, but it's not anymore.
It's just mad.
I like it. On back to the scaling aspect, right? So to scale, you got to hire. So where are you finding employees?
Okay, so we have trainings. So I'll give you an example. If you're dealing with really big issues in the winter, which a lot of guys do.
Yeah.
So during the winter is the best time to do self-development and training. Those are the two best things that you could possibly do to prepare yourself for a busy season.
Yep.
So the number one thing that we prioritize is one, getting all the equipment in ready because we know our phones are going to be blowing up 100 phone calls a day, and then training guys. So we'll put something on Facebook or Instagram or on our website, and we'll blast it every single day, 10 times a day, and say, hey, we have a training here at our shop. If you want to show up, these are paid trainings. If you never show up again, that's fine. We'll still send you a paycheck. But show up, and then here's the expectation. You show up at this time in this uniform, or we'll give you a shirt when you get here. We're going to show you how to do X, Y, and Z with these Stark products. And then the people show up, and then they get trained. And by the time they do like their 7th to 10th training, they know the basics. They know how to wash a boat. They know how to do like, the basics as long as they're on the job with somebody that's been here or has experience. And then, but we've created a business to where people want to work here. So we're not like scavenging people from Indeed. We're not begging people to work here. We're like, here's what you get from working here: the PTO, the benefits, the time off, the everything, the weekends off, the paid boat shows, the paid events, all that stuff. And people are like, oh, I want to work there. So it's not like, if you're a one-man show, and this is something I've dealt with, if you're a one-man show and you don't have anything to offer to these guys, just an hourly rate that's not even that great, you're going to be scavenging to find people to try to work for you. And it's a lot tougher.
So, what did you do initially? Did you just implement that right off the bat? Is that how you found the original first person that came aboard? Or so on these trainings, which I think this is exciting. I think this is good information. Like, when did you implement that in your business? So you obviously hired one, was it, years down the road that you realized like this is a good way to pick up, employees? Was it after you had 5? I mean, when did that start happening? Because I think that's such.
This started 2 years ago. So the first 2 years ago was the first time we ever started doing this.
Okay. So, and you said that you kind of like broadcast it on like Facebook or Instagram or, email, whatever that may be. So like, what do you offer to these people? So you're saying it's a paid training, right? So no experience necessary. I'm assuming just show up. And then you said I think you said like after 7, they kind of know the basics. So like, are these like hour long, a certain day of the week? Like, how do you structure it?
These trainings were certain dates. It was within 2 months. So our slowest season of the year is going to be January, February, and we had 7 trainings. So about 3 a month. Okay. 1 month had 4. And that gets us ready for March, because March is when everyone's like, now I got to start thinking about it.
Right.
So, we didn't start doing this till about 2 years ago, and it worked out well because the people that are already not going to show up just didn't show up. You didn't have them not showing up to customers' driveways. You had them not showing up to your warehouse, which is fine. And it weeds out a lot of people. You can also see the level of work ethic when you're hiring people too. You know right off the bat who's going to be good and who's not. So that was a really good thing for us, is having pre-trainings instead of like, hey, you're going to be training at this marina on a live job. It just doesn't work out well.
Yeah, no, I kind of like that. Is it kind of like a base pay for everybody across the board? That comes in?
It's minimum wage. It's minimum wage. They show up for they get taught how to do this. They get food. It's bare minimum. But if they want the job, they'll stick with it. That's it.
So essentially, you kind of create yourself like A temp program.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Interesting. Interesting. I kind of like it. So, what do you start off? So like how does training one differ than, training seven?
We have a playbook for training. So it's like day one is like the basics. Here's how to wash a boat. What's the first thing you do before you wash the boat? You always get before photos because the customer will try to blame you for damage. It's like
Right.
everything from start to finish, like how to take care of a client. We actually do sales roll call. We use all the products that we purchase from you guys. We are step by step training. Here's how to use this product on this surface. Here's what this cannot go on. Let's time you. Like, let's see how fast you can get this wash done. And it's fun. It's fun because it's usually a bunch of like-minded guys and girls that like want to be there. It's not anybody that's like, I'm forced to be here. You know, they all came on. They know they're getting paid. They're all learning, so it's good.
So on average, like what is the turnout? And
So
does it vary per week? Like, do you have somebody start on week one and then you have other people show up on week three? I mean,
yeah. Yeah. So there are some of the time, actually a lot of the time, where some people can't make these trainings, but we
right,
require them before they step on a live job to complete all of the trainings. You
right.
can't miss how to wash a boat and then go straight to the ceramic training. So when people do have to do that, there's always makeup days. But there are a lot of people that would do all these trainings, and those are the guys that are with us now, and they're doing great.
And then, so you've had, like you said, you've had some for up to 5 years already, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, talk about them a little bit. You don't have to say by name, but like, you know, what did you see in their development, right? Because I'm assuming, they probably took on more responsibility throughout the time too. So if you wouldn't mind kind of touching base on that.
Yeah. So that's a really good question. So if anybody that's watching this podcast is familiar with like networking events, and I'll give you an example, is Grant Cardone's 10X. So I actually paid a lot of money to have my top guys go down to that. And they all learned like the basics of like how to market, how to sell. It's like sales funnel systems. Now, are they going to be using that every day in the field while they're buffing a boat? No. But it's something that's really cool. Hey, we get to fly down. I work for this detailing company and I get to fly down to Vegas to learn how to sell and like be around all these amazing people. Boat shows are always paid for. I flew my guys. I don't know. It wasn't with you. It was with Marino. I flew 5 guys down to that training. So
Wow.
it's not. Yeah, I mean, those are the guys that stick around for a while. The one that get more than just money. It's like they get involvement with the company. It's like, wow, like I'm a moving factor in this business. I'm not just a number. Like this
Yeah.
guy flew me out to a ex Grant Cardone training that cost $5K per ticket. Like this guy flew me out to learn how to buff. Like that's how serious we are with this company. Like the level of devotion that you get to them is what you get out of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's some strong words and strong actions that you put in place to really help their development and help them grow. And I think that, having that consistency again is what's going to continue to allow you to retain employees, man. That's so important in any line of business, whether you're a marine detailer or you're an auto mechanic or, whatever you do, you need to trust your employees too, right? You need to have
Yeah.
trust. I always say trust but verify. So you
Yeah.
you, you definitely got to have some trust, but sometimes you got to step in and verify things are going the right way or the way to your expectation. But like, dude, man, like
Yeah.
that was news to me. I think that's some great information. Like I've known you for, like I said, 2.5 years, and like I've never known that you implemented your own training to essentially, build your own pipeline of employees, which I think is it's genius, man. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, I hope.
If you want to work for Mad Soaps, you got to go through some sort of training. There can't just be, I mean, we've done background checks and found out who people really are sometimes. So you do have to go in depth with these
Yeah,
people. Like we
yeah.
just found out that one of our guys just got out of jail and he didn't tell us.
Yep.
So you have to find out the work ethic of these people. But you got to screen them. You got to train
Yeah.
with them. And that's super important. Like you don't want to be training them on a live job site. That's for sure. Cause then stuff is bound to go wrong. Even though stuff's already going to go wrong anyway, you don't want to add a bunch of unnecessary stuff when you can just take a little bit of time, seven trainings out of an entire winter, 7 to 10 trainings, and get them right, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. So like, I'm assuming you have some SOPs as well, considering that you have 7 packages and 25 employees. I would assume. I could be wrong. I mean, is that something that's implemented within your business, is standing operating
Everything.
procedure?
Everything. I
So,
mean, I'm talking everything has SOPs.
so is this something that's, just written, it's handed to employees, like how do you share this information with them generally?
So they do get a handbook.
Okay.
Everybody gets a handbook, and they always have to sign a contract if they want to work. And that contract consists of everything. Here's all your benefits that you get. Here's if something goes wrong, here's who's responsible, here's how we pay you, here's what happens if this happens. Everything is SOP. If it's not, then everything's unorganized. And we also have a very, very helpful office admin, and she works all the time, every single day. Not weekends, but she'll work Monday through Saturday. No one, dude, if you're the business owner, I mean, no one's going to work as much as you. Know that.
Yeah.
But I
No.
mean, you need help. You need help. And this is just another thing. Imagine trying to detail a boat while trying to upsell a customer, while trying to hire, while trying to train and have procedures. It's just, I never saw that as possible. So that's
Yeah.
why I have the team that I do.
Nice.
That was just
Nice.
a no-brainer for me. It's like, I can't do all of this.
So how often, and I'm assuming as the business owner manning the administrative side of it, like how often are you running a wheel now, Chris?
Man, not often.
Not. Well,
I
hey,
got guys
listen.
that are better detailers than me. I'm serious, man.
That's a great answer. I think that is a struggle too for a lot of business owners once they scale, right? Is trying to get the teammates that work with them to understand that, the administrative side of things is just as important as running that wheel, because if you're not out there wheeling and dealing with customers, networking, getting jobs, building business, there's not that next job for them
No
to
business.
do. There's no business. So, every role has an importance. And, I hear it sometimes from the field where, the business owner is really now, dialed in on the administrative side of things. And, there's some frustration with the workforce. "Ah, it's not running a wheel anymore, blah, blah, blah." They're like, listen, everybody has a role that's important. So,
Yep.
but don't be afraid to pick up that rotary, Chris, and let them know that you can still do it every now
I'm
and
not
then, man.
afraid. If I have to, I will. If I absolutely have to, I will. But we manage our schedule well
Yeah,
to where our team knows, and we have meetings with our team. We have not
yeah,
only the networking events and all that stuff and all the boat shows and parades I was telling you about, we do have quarterly meetings with our team on
hmm
performance, where the company is going, is it on track to hit its goals. Everybody in the business at this point understands that the more time that I'm running a wheel, the less money that the company's going to make.
yeah,
And that's the truth of it. Is the more time that I'm out there running that wheel, man, the less jobs that you guys are going to have next week. So
yeah, yeah.
they
Because
all know that. They
somebody,
understand that.
yeah, no, I mean, you've been blessed enough to surround yourself with a solid team, and you were sharing a lot of good information with, everybody listening too, on, potentially, how to get more employees and, things like that from there. But, you were a detailer or are a detailer or have detailed before. And I always ask this question, if you've listened to some of the other podcasts, is if you're detailing a boat, I want to know the top 5 pads that you're going to grab.
Lake Country all day, man. I mean, I'm going with the blue Lake Country. I'm going with the orange Lake Country. I'm going with the money pad. I'm going with the yellow wool, and I'm going with the standard heavy wool all day.
So your white wool, your yellow wool, your blue hybrid, I'm assuming. Is that what you mean by blue, or blue foam?
The blue foam, the Lake Country.
Lake Country blue foam. Okay.
Yep.
Lake Country orange foam
Yep.
and a money pad. Nice.
all day.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like I'll continue to ask this question to see if some people slide one in there. One that you did is the blue foam, so I like it. Definitely has its place for it, man. And again, hopefully people out there are listening. There's a pretty common theme from the respectable people within the industry. They're grabbing majority of the same 3 or 4 pads out of the 5 generally. So you need to be those listening need to be taking notes. If those ain't the top 3 or 4 consistent pads that your team's using, you might be missing out on some steps or some
Yeah.
cheat sheets or something like that.
Are you having people that are ordering the like opposite of the spectrum pads, like only wool and only black, and they're not getting anything in the middle? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then I still have it's getting smaller where people are finishing with a rotary, like the foam rotary pads, like the black foam. You know what I mean? Finishing with a rotary. So it's good to see that the industry as a whole seems like it's shifting to finishing with a either a long throw polish or a forced rotation, which you know we uh we highly say thumbs up to. Don't get me wrong, there's some really good guys and gals out there that can create a swirl free finish with a rotary, but it's really hard to be consistent that way. And you as a business owner, right, is it's really hard to train people to do that. Like I think you would agree that it's pretty easy to train somebody on how to finish with a dual action or a forced rotation machine and get a pretty respectable surface versus if they were running a rotary only and trying to finish with that. So
There's nothing we do that finishes with rotary ever. Like none of our packages would even consider, like there's nothing in our wheelhouse, no pun intended,
yeah.
that finishes with a rotary.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to see that the industry is really trending in that direction as a whole. I think it's just good for not only the detailers but as well as the owners, the boat owners that's getting the surface or the service. They're getting a better result in the end than what we used to see 10 years ago, man. Like, just imagine the sunballs that people used to look at the sandbar where everybody's just using cleaner wax with a white wool and a rotary, and finishing that on black. I could only imagine what
Crazy.
some of those
It is
some of those
crazy, man.
services may look like, man.
Yeah.
So freaking
Yeah, the
chaotic.
number one thing that I see for detailers, just from being in all the detailing forums and understanding where I was, and I wrote them down. The top things that I see people struggling with is
Yeah,
creating multiple streams within their business.
yeah.
So offering dozens of different services, not just being that one package deal, like being able to adjust.
One show pony. Yeah,
Yeah. Packages and how to sell them. I see very few companies with legit packages that are being sold.
yep,
Handling objections, like what we went over, pricing, and adding more value instead of taking off the price. Adding systems in the business, the SOPs that we went over. So you're kind
yep.
of hitting everything like where detailers are struggling and job
Right.
pricing in general. So those are the main things that I've seen that detailers struggle with, and I'm here to help. So if any one of
Yeah,
your guys need help, I'll be more than happy to jump on. And they can also go to my website, madsoaps.com, and hit programs too. So I've been helping out detailers left and right. Like I won't name names on here, but the one I was
yeah,
telling you about before. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
up
I'm
to it. I'm open.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, like I know those names, like, and those individuals have really respectable business models now after dealing with you. So, again, if you guys are, struggling to scale your business, like, uh, dude, this is your guy. Like, I would encourage you to.
Profitably.
Yes, yeah, right. I would encourage you to reach out to him directly. He's actively one of the, you know, guys or gals that are in our industry that really wants to help people, similar to us. Like we're out there sharing, information as much as we can to really help everyone out there be successful, you know. So reach out to him if you have any of those type of questions. And obviously if anybody needs any type of products, right? Any marine detail supply company nationwide should be able to assist you. We have them, now in Danvers, Boston. I don't know if you saw that episode. Like we literally
No, not
have
yet.
Eric. Yeah, Eric and team just opened up one up in Boston. We have Port Clinton, Ohio, Tampa, as you know, with Mike Marino. You're very familiar with him. We have Julio has 2 stores. He has Stewart as well as Palm Beach. Jack over in Fort Lauderdale. Noah over there in Charleston, South Carolina. There's potentially a new one going up in Cape Coral, as well as another one just north of us. I will that has been set in stone, but I will hopefully have that new potential store owner on the next podcast or one of them coming up. So I won't share that one yet, but there is another additional marine detail supply company coming your way. So again, make sure that you marine detailers that are out there or auto detailers, we carry automotive products, make sure you reach out to your local marine detail supply, grab the products you need, just like Christian does here. And with that, we appreciate everyone listening, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.